In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you that how you can build an entire AI agent end to end using just Cursor AI. If you have been following socials lately, you would have noticed a lot of buzz around AI agents. Within the span of last 1 month, the search for the term AI agent has already doubled. So it just tells you the amount of interest that is out there. And if we try to evaluate if there is fluff or there are actual use cases for using AI agents, then there are so many. This is a thread within the AI intelligence subreddit. So over here, if I look at some of the examples where people are mentioning the things that already agents are doing at their workplaces, this server project engineer mentions that there are so many issues like low disk space, server down, and all of that happens in their workplace that can be easily automated through a agent. Then this other example where a person talks about how front-end consultants are paid $1,000 a day. And with Microsoft Copilot agents that are recently added into the teams, the entire task that these guys were helping out with can be automated using software. So there are so many use cases out there. In this video, we would be exploring one of those use cases. We would be building out a customer support agent workflow for a mobile service center. So let me show you how this works. A person sent a message to the service center. The message says, "Hi, I dropped my iPhone and I want the screen replaced. Can you tell me how much it costs to replace it? And how long will it take? Also, do you offer any warranty on repairs?" So this is the query. Let's run this and see that what response we get from the agent. We got this response from the service center agent. So it mentions that iPhone 13 repair would be possible. It mentions you need to pay around $199 to $299. The replacement would take 2 to 3 hours. And there is a 90-day warranty on all the repairs. All of these are things that we customized in the knowledge bank or the backend. So this basically went through the knowledge base and got those details here. Along with it, it also mentions that we offer a free initial diagnosis and there won't be any charge for it. Overall, I find the response to be quite good. It tackles all the points that the customer wanted to know. Let's try adding a follow-up to this. Okay. So over here, the person is asking that can they book a slot for Saturday and what would be the time available. Let's run our agent again. It has generated a response. Let's go and check the response that we have got. It tells that on Saturday you can book a slot. It mentions that the working hours from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it mentions that for morning the availability is present at both 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And at the end it also signs off saying Jenny AI agent mobile service center. So let's get to building this AI agent. The first step is that we want to create a workflow for it. So if we look at our workflow here, this starts with a person sending us an email. So this is basically the email that we were entering over here. Then once the email is received, it processes the email to understand the intent. Is it for getting a mobile repaired or is it for collecting a bill that they might have submitted earlier? Then it makes a plan to respond. For this, it uses various tools. It can use tools like RAG, which is basically a way of saying that it would be going through the knowledge base, seeing all the appointments or the cost of repair for every device. It can also use search, where it can go on Google and find something that the person would want to know. Then based on that, it fetches the response of all the functions. And finally, it creates a response based on all the findings. Then it sends the response back to the customer. And finally, it monitors the entire conversation in the future as well. Then it responds to that as well. So that is the entire workflow. This is for the customer support agent for a mobile service center. Similarly, you can build agents for anything. You can ingest data from social media platforms or email or anything else. So let's get into building it. To start with, I will open up a new window in my cursor. I will open up a new folder. So within this, you can create a new folder. You can use an existing one. I will open up my projects folder. Within this, I created a subfolder called AI agent. So within this folder, I will start creating my documentation. So our plan is to create a PRD that we can follow for the rest of the process of building. So to start with this PRD, I would need the documentation for creating this. For this documentation, I would be requiring reference documents from the APIs that we would be using. In this case, that would be ChatGPT or OpenAI and Mailgun. So we would be using OpenAI for all the reasoning that goes behind, and we would be using Mailgun for sending the actual emails. So I will start with creating a folder. I will call it reference docs. Within this folder, I will create a new subfile. I will call it OpenAI docs.m. So within this, I want to put up a reference documentation from OpenAI that we would be using in this case. So for getting this, I will go to platform.openai.com to get their documentation. And within this, the first thing that we want to get is text generation. So I will just copy this from here. I will paste it in here. Then I will get structured outputs. So these are basically all the capabilities that OpenAI provide in their APIs. You can see that which one is required for your ones. For example, if you are looking to build an agent that takes image as an input, then vision might be helpful for you. In this case, I'm using the text generation because I want to generate text. I'm using structured output for storing data, and then I would be using function calling as well. So this calls required function based on what the customer request is. So now we have all the docs from OpenAI ready. Next, I will create a new folder. I will call this folder Mailgun docs. So within this, I want to get all the required documentation from Mailgun. So I will go to Mailgun's API documentation. So within their website, I will go to API reference and to messages because I want to send messages using it. So I want to use Python for creating my apps. I will choose Python over here in the request sample, and then I will copy the rest of the page. So let me grab this. Okay, so I have everything from here. Let's paste this in my documentation. Now we have the documentation ready. So the next step is that we want to create a PRD out of it. So within my app, I will create a new file. I will call it prd.md. I will keep it blank for now because this is the output that we want to generate using OpenAI. So I will open up a new chat window over here. In this chat window, I will select OpenAI's O1 model because it's the best one when it comes to planning the entire project for you. And for this, I would be using a prompt. So this is a prompt that I've used in a lot of cases in the past. So this includes the guidelines over here that I have seen work well with O1. It directs it in the right direction. You can get the prompt from the description below. And within this prompt, you can basically just change the highlighted part and you will get the agent you want to build. In our case, we are trying to build a customer support agent for a mobile service center service. So this is based on the initial flow that we wanted to create for agent. So I've just gave this flow to ChatGPT and I asked it to give me the steps for the implementation. And I've put up those steps of implementation within my PRD prompt. Now I will copy this entire prompt from here and I will drop it in my cursor chat. So I will make sure that the right documents are added over here. So I will go up here. I will add the PRD, MD here. Then for the rest of the reference docs, I will just go in here and check the name if it's correct. I want to use Maryman docs here and I want to use OpenAI docs here. So now I have the entire prompt. I will select the O1 model and I will click submit here so that it can generate the entire prompt for us. It will take some time because O1 in general takes some time in ingesting all the data. It is breaking down all the lines from all the context that we provided it. So let's wait a minute and then we will have the PRD or basically the steps that we want for the implementation. The reason why I always create a PRD while coding with Cursor is because we have this new model called O1, which is very good at planning things, which is very good at thinking in depth. While Sonnet 3.5, the Anthropics model, is very good at writing code. That's why you have to use both of these models in conjunction, where O1 is being used for planning the entire project, which is basically writing the PRD. And then you can use Sonnet for implementing all of these individual steps. So I see that it has created the PRD for us. Let's click on apply. So I see only a part of this was copied. I will click on accept. I will copy the rest of the part as well. So let's click on copy here. Okay, so let's copy the rest of the part manually. So we have created a PRD here. So let's open up a new composer window. Now we'll start with implementing all of these steps. We have these steps of implementation. So I will go in composer. I will select Sonnet 3.5 and I will select the agent mode. And then I will ask it to go through the PRD and start implementing. Go through PRD and start implementing the plan. Execute step. So the first step is setting up the project. It wants us to also put it on GitHub. We won't be doing that right now. So I will just ask it to ignore the git command and execute the rest. So it is creating all the required folders here, and it is creating all the necessary JSON files over here, the ones that we wanted. Then it's creating a new environment for running all of this. So I see that it has jumped some of the steps. We wanted to start with step 1 and then come on to the step 2, but it has jumped some of them. So I will just cancel this generation here and I will ask it to follow the steps in the detailed implementation plan. So I will go to the step 1 and I will reference the step that I want it to execute. So it has created a virtual environment and it has started installing all the required files. So let's do that. Okay, so the first step is done. Now let's move on to step 2. I will open up a new composer window. This is just to make sure that the window does not run out of context. So by that I mean that Claude at one point of time can only process up to 150k characters or 150k alphabets at once. So that's why you don't want to overload or run out of that context limit. I will open up a new composer window. Within this, I will ask it to execute step 2. Execute step 2 from PRD. I will mark the first step as done here since we have already completed it. It is creating a .env file. Within this file, we would have to add our API keys and OpenAI keys. So I will go to Mailgun. I will create a new API key. And same for ChatGPT. So I will go to my account here. I will click on API keys and I will generate a new API key. So I will call it test AI agent. Yeah. And I will generate this API key. We'll copy it from here. And I will give it the API key here. This is my OpenAI API key. Along with it, I will also go to Mailgun. I will also add my Mailgun API key, and it's advised that you don't show your API key like this in the public. I would be deleting both the keys that I'm using over here. But if you are creating an agent, don't share your API keys on the app itself for any video like this, and make sure to change them if you are doing that. So I will add both the API keys in the system. Apart from that, it is also asking for a Mailgun domain. I don't think so that is required. So I will just click on accept for now. We have all the required API keys. Now let's move on to the next part. I will open up a new composer window for that. And we will mark the last step being done. So come on this step. I will mark this as done. Now I will go to the new composer window and I will ask it to execute step 3. Execute step 3 from PRD. So it has created all the required files now. Let's move on to the next step. I will mark the step as done. In the next step, it want to create functions in reference to the Mailgun API. So along with the PRD, I would also reference the documentation that we have for Mailgun. So I will also add Mailgun docs here. Please also check. So I will go up here. I will ask it to execute step 4 for reference the syntax. So it is creating all the required hooks based on the input. So I see that it has implemented all the 4 API routes here, which is to see the incoming email. Okay, I will accept these changes, and now we will move on the next step. So before going into it, I will verify the step-by-step flow once again. So what it does is that it checks the emails, and it would be checking the incoming.json file for any unprocessed new messages. If found, pass the raw email content to the parse email hook, and parse email hook identifies the email metadata and it saves it in data.json. Then it detects, so then it has a function to identify the intent of the request. Then it goes through the knowledge base to see that if we have a custom response for this kind of query or if a new response needs to be created. If it's a custom response, then it uses the OpenAI hook, and then it goes through the knowledge base and goes through the question. Okay, the flow looks fine to me. Now let's look at edge cases as well. Okay, so also add a step 7 here. For this, I want it to add test data to the files that we have created. So this would be files like incoming email, knowledge.json, and schedule.json. So data.json would be populated based on what response we get in incoming email.json. So we don't have to add test data for that. So now that we have all these steps already implemented, now that we have executed all the steps until step 4, now I will ask it to implement step 5 from the BRD. I think not much is done. It has already created all the files. Apart from that, I will also ask it to check the reference files if it needs that. I will select folder here for any documentation help. So now let's go to step 5. I will open up a new terminal window. I will open up a new composer window again. I will ask it to implement step 5. Implement step 5 from BRD and verify if we have all the files correctly configured. So another new thing that comes up with the agent is that it can read files that you don't even reference. In this case, OpenAI docs was something I did not reference in my prompt, but still it looked for the documentation around OpenAI and it went in that file and it got the required documentation from there, and basis that it is now creating the new files. Right now, these models are not that smart, but my prediction is that in the future, once we have strong enough models, that you just have to link the right documentation within the app that you're using. For example, in this case, Cursor, and from there you can just tell it what you want to build, and it will just pull up the right APIs, right documentation, and start creating for you. It is also adding test data to files. It was a part of the next steps, but right now it wants to add some of these for the testing. So let it add some of this data, and in the next step we will add these data points in more depth. So it has added test data as well. So now that we have made all the changes, let's test this once. Can we test our service? And I will give my email for the test data so that I can receive the response on my email. This is the response that I received. So this email says, "Hello John, the name that I mentioned in the email. Thank you for reaching out. Sorry to hear about the damage." Then it mentions that what would be the range for the repairs. It mentions how long will it take for the repairs to be done and the warranty associated with it. And then it also mentions that you can pay with a credit card payments. You can do a walk-in, but we recommend you to book an appointment if you want priority service, if you don't want to wait. Let's say if we even want to add a follow-up message to this, So in the case where a person sends a follow-up message to this email, we are stimulating that case. Let's run our script again. So in the follow-up, we are asking that if 2 p.m. tomorrow is available. Also, he's asking that do he need to back up his data before coming into the service center. So we got the response. It mentioned that 2 p.m. tomorrow is available. It went through the entire schedule for the day. It looked up the slots that are already booked, and then it gave a response that which slot is available. So that was the entire video, making an AI agent end to end. Thanks a lot for tuning in. See you in the next one.